I've had discus before, but previously I didn't have this kind of success. And I'm going to share with you the reasons why I think with this go around, this time with discus, things are going much better. And I'm going to share with you the, the particular things that I'm doing now that I didn't do before. And I think all of them are contributing or playing a role in why this particular batch of discus are doing better. First and foremost is starting with good stock. These particular discus were picked up from Cunningham Tropicals. I'm not sure where he got them from, but they've been a bit of a battleship of a discus. They arrived and almost immediately were showing decent color, swimming around, eating. It was maybe some of the best fish shipped to me experiences I've ever had with regards to the quality and how robust the fish were immediately upon adding them to their new home. So start with good quality fish, really check out the vendor, make sure that they have a good track record, good reviews, and are providing people with fish that they're happy with. In some cases, you might want to get wild discus. In other cases, you might want to get domestically bred, and the wild discus seem to come in a greater, more intense variety of colors. Some people say they're a little more docile. The domestic ones seem to be a bit more hardy and able to live at different temperatures, have a wider tolerance of water parameters, so they can acclimate more to the water you can provide where you live. That's with domestically bred, locally bred especially. But these have done fine with my water parameters. They're very hardy eaters, and that takes me to point number 2, which is food. Previously, I was feeding what I thought was decent food back then, which was you had your Tetramin and the things you'd pick up at the big box stores. I wasn't giving them really a discus specific type of food or any kind of variety. And I'd read about people feeding them things like beef heart. It just didn't make any sense to me that you would feed cow parts to to a discus. People are reporting success with that. Me, what I've been feeding them, Sarah, some Sarah food. This is a pellet food. I feed them some different types of Sarah. I also feed them some of this original Stendker granulate I got from Super Cichlids from Lisa and the family. I also give them a variety of flakes, like the ones you see up here, some premium cichlid flakes and premium vegetable flakes. Those were good because I could transition them over to other food, but I started them on the food from Cunningham Tropicals. That way there was an easy transition over to what I wanted to feed them. But these guys are pigs, they eat everything. I give them some frozen brine shrimp, which they love and devour, and I give them bloodworms. These are some of the Aquarium Co-op products, and they love them. But what their catnip, what I can hand feed them with, and what has allowed me to train them to eat from my hand, where I can reach in the tank right now and just grab them. They'll just go right into my hand and lay there and let me pull them out. They're completely hand tamed, and that is by feeding them blackworms. And I feed these blackworms to them usually after I've or during maintenance. So whenever I'm messing with the tank, vacuuming or cleaning the inside panel or something, they know that they're going to be getting a treat, so they're hanging all over me and nipping on my hand and doing all kinds of stuff. So I've kind of trained them into being hand-fed. The other thing I'm doing now that I wasn't doing before is I'm doing a twice a week water change, and that's making a big difference. Not a massive water change. I don't do it 90%. I'm doing like 30%, maybe 40% water change twice a week. Every time I do a water change, another thing I wasn't doing before, I'm adding Vitachem. This stuff is not cheap, and I'm not sponsored by them. I wish I was, but because this is expensive. I think it's making a difference. I actually add it to all of my tanks after a water change, and I add like a teaspoon for every 50 gallons. So you can see with the 300 and the 210 and the 90, it can get pretty expensive. 1 teaspoon with each water change for these guys. That's helping, I believe. The other thing that I think is making a difference is UV. I wasn't using UV before, and I was using a green killing machine, UV. At first, it seemed to work okay, and then I started having trouble with the bulbs. The bulbs kept blowing out, and I kept getting them replaced under warranty, which they were very good about, through Amazon. But I finally got tired of messing with it, so I went with the Haiger UV system, and it's a little bit lower wattage, but it's working fine. It seems to be okay. Why I think the green killing machine wasn't working brings me to my next point of what I'm doing differently. I run this tank at about 83 degrees. And before, I was treating my discus pretty much like every other fish and keeping the tank between 75 and 78. Is 83 making a huge difference? All I know is I'm getting good results. A higher temp is, along with UV and some plants, which I had some plants, I believe, in the tanks I had before, but not this much. And it's been a wild battle with black algae. And I think I'm starting to turn the corner on it, but it requires wiping the plants down, adding plants, adding nutrients, and sort of like trying to outrun the black algae. Two other points that I have to include on this list is over-filtering. These tanks are very, very filtered, whereas before, when I kept discus, I had kind of like the basic amount of filtration you should have on a tank. Whereas in this case, I'm over-filtering with two hang-on back filters, two of these Haiger bilateral filters. And I'm also providing a lot of extra oxygen, where as before, the oxygen that was being provided was the hang-on back filter that I had in that tank breaking up the surface. Here I have two hang-on back filters breaking up the surface and two air stones being run by a dual air pump. So I have there's a lot of oxygen going on. And if you'll notice, the discus are not necessarily working their mouths, so they're not suffering because of low oxygen. And that's really important when you're running a tank at 83 degrees. You've got to have a lot of oxygenation, because at high temps, it's hard for oxygen to dissolve in the water. So just something to keep in mind. For example, when you're treating ick and you raise the temperature of your tank, be sure to add an air stone or two and get some more surface tension breakup, so more CO2 oxygen exchanges, and you have enough oxygen at the higher temperature. So those are my tips and reasons why I think this time around I'm doing better with keeping these guys healthy and growing and alive, because they would only reach I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 inches, 6 inches, and then they would just sort of kind of lose interest in eating and then just kind of waste away. I mean, granted, they were like in a 40 gallon, and I had maybe 4 or 5 of them in a, maybe they were too cramped, I don't know. But I was doing a water change like once every week or every 2 weeks. Lower quality food, no UV, no discus specific nutrients, and no variety, really. These guys get such a variety of food, it's ridiculous. So there you go. Those are my tips. If you're going to start a discus tank, these tips might help. Consider them. Running at 83, UV, good quality food, twice a week water changes, and lots of food variety. And maybe you'll have a good run. Start with good stock. Get your discus from a trusted provider, and get ready for a little bit of a shock, because they're not cheap. I mean, these discus here are probably at the local fish store. This size of discus is approximating $100 each. It's just nuts. The price of discus has gone nuts. Maybe 50 to 60 in some stores for a discus this size. Smaller ones, maybe 40, 45, and usually they're sold without a warranty or no guarantee. Like I've been to fish stores where it says discus sales are final, because they tend to have a tendency to be delicate. They don't want to lose money by having people bring back dead discus all the time. So at any rate, there you go. Do you keep discus? What are your tips for success? Share them below. I'd love to hear them. We're always learning from each other at this channel. And I hope, fingers crossed, that my success continues, and especially when I make the transition to a new tank. I know that's going to be stressful for them. I'll do it in the least stressful way I can, and hopefully that will go well. All right. Thank you for tuning in, my friends, and I will see you at the next one. Bye-bye.